welcome to another episode of Katie Afraidy on the Fangoria Network. I'm your host, Katie Hettenbach, and you bet your ass we're having another episode this fine day. It's DINO-RIFFIC. It's a dinosaur-themed episode, guys, because we're talking about the Invisible Raptor with actor and co-writer Mike Capes, co-writer Johnny Wickham, and director Mike Hermosa. That's my first 30-person interview, guys. It went swimmingly, and I'm so excited for you guys to hear it. They are a hoot and a half. They rock. So, yeah, enjoy the interview.
Katie Afraidy is the best title of a podcast I've heard.
So good.
Thank you so much. I worked hard on it. Before it was this, I was actually at the Comedy Store, if you're familiar, and it was called Horror at the Store. But people would call me Whore at the Store, so, you know.
Yeah, that spelling makes that tough.
Just a little bit. And if you say it off ever so slightly, it's not the best. But, you know, what can you do? What can you do?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Also a great title.
Thank you. I don't know how much they told you about me or the podcast, so I'll just give you a quick little rundown and then we'll hop right in. So like you said, I'm Katie Afraidy. Katie. I work with Fangoria. It's a horror movie review podcast. I'm a comedian, actor, filmmaker. So I'm one of you guys as well. Yeah. And I chat with comedians, filmmakers, like about horror movies. It's silly, it's goofy, and you know, dinosaurs that are invisible aligns perfectly. So so excited to talk about this. First of all, congratulations on your movie.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
How does it feel to be done?
We are beyond grateful. As you know, a comedian, actress, and filmmaker, you know how hard these things are to get off the ground. So when you actually get a chance, which we didn't know if we ever would, we did. And honestly, if you lose the fact of how grateful you are, you're doing something wrong, because we are so grateful to be here with you now talking about a movie that we made that people are going to see. It's wild. It's wild.
And having a comedian tell us that our movie is funny is the best compliment we could have received ever. So thank you very much. That was very important to us that people laugh. And to get your stamp of approval, being a comedian yourself, is like, again, as Mike said, we are very grateful for that.
It's a fun one. I mean, if you walk into this movie thinking it's going to be something serious, I think you're the silly one. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not, you know, like,
you probably didn't read the title.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, you do a dance with a dinosaur. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's like, you know,
if you go in thinking this is a documentary about dinosaurs, you're in for a problem.
Exactly.
Yeah, I actually hope now that people go in not knowing at all what they're seeing, because that's going to be fun.
Yeah, that's what I did. Whenever I do these, I don't read the synopsis. I'm like, yep, let's do the interview. And I go in fully blind to the movie. Yeah. So I'm like, it might be very serious. Some of them are very, very serious. And then I'm taken back. I'm like, I was expecting this to be silly. And I was in a more silly mood than, you know, to watch people dying left and right, you know, in a sad way. Not like a horror fun, but like a sad, depressing way, you know?
Yeah. There are those out there, aren't there?
There are. So for my viewers who have not seen the film yet, what can you tell them about the Invisible Raptor?
We can definitely tell them that it is a creature feature with absolutely no creature. We decided to make we made Jurassic Park meets the Invisible Man. So lots of great gore.
But funnier than both of those.
Funnier than both, yeah. And obviously tons of elements of comedy. If you know going in that the title is The Invisible Raptor, I think you know that we are very self-aware writer filmmakers. Yeah, I think it's just a fun adventure ride. I really do. I think everybody should go see it because we take some big comedic swings as well. You know, we wrote this not knowing we'd ever get made. So the fact that we did and all the stuff that we wrote stayed in is just crazy.
Yes, but great crazy. It made it more fun, right? And that's crazy good. So your first draft compared to what was on screen? Is there anything that was different that you had to cut that you're like, oh, I wish we would have put, no, you said you put everything. I love it.
Yeah,
Everything.
not one difference. Yeah, yeah.
No, there was one joke we cut out, but from the script that we wrote, we kind of just we didn't take anything out. We just kept piling jokes on top of it.
Yeah.
So the initial script, which was filled with jokes, I mean, we shot basically the script. We were just adding jokes on the day too that stayed in. So
The only major change from the script to the film was our finale. We wrote this with a different finale in mind because we wrote this thinking we couldn't have digital effects because we couldn't afford them. So the original script did not have the finale that you see today. That is thanks to our visual effects artist, Dorian Clevenger, who added this epic finale. Like the whole concept of the finale is thanks to him. So that was the major change from
yeah,
script.
it was the original the ending to the original script was not as big because we didn't know that we had the ability to go as big. And then he was like, "You guys can just do this," and we are like, "Oh heck, that's better." So yeah.
I love that works out. So what inspired you to write a film like this? Because this is a very, a creature feature without the creature, very niche. How did you come up with that?
I think it was a combination of things floating into my head because it was one of those 3 a.m. ideas. And I'm friends with Derek Connolly, who wrote Jurassic World, and he would kind of tell me about sort of the Jurassic World pitches and where they were going to take the Raptors by the time they got to Jurassic World 3. And I remember thinking, well, that popped into my head as far as like, well, how far can we take art? We'll create a raptor and a government plan that's even crazier. And they never even got to where I think they wanted to go. So that was floating in the head. It was during COVID. So on the news, you constantly heard this invisible threat. And that was like kind of beating a drum in my head as well. And then I saw the movie. I watched it and I called these guys. Mike called me actually first. He wanted to make a movie during COVID, and he's like, "Hey man, I really want to work with you. I got some pitches." And I said, "Wait. You called me on the morning of the night that I came up with the Invisible Raptor." So I pitched it to him, and then I called Johnny, who I've been writing comedy with for almost 20 years, and said, "Hey, Mike likes this. He wants to work with us. Let's write the script." And so, the initial idea was no creature, no money, but then it evolved from there. And
That assessment was very wrong. It turns out that when you're trying to pull off a lot of things with an invisible dinosaur, it's not as inexpensive as you might think.
Yeah, way harder.
Yeah, it's harder. It's some brain puzzles for sure.
Yeah, it seems like in theory, you're like, oh, it would be cheaper because, you're not show, and then you're like, well, you have to make things float. And then,
Yeah.
One scene. One scene that didn't make it in the movie. We shot it. It was the Invisible Raptor deciding that it was going to electrocute a character in a bathtub with a blow dryer. And so and the blow dryer floats across screen. It was a very fun.
One of my favorite scenes in the whole movie where the Invisible Raptor, instead of killing Amber violently like he's been doing, eating her, he's like, "Oh, I'm just going to take the hairdryer and electrocute her in the bathtub," which is like a very sinister way to kill. And it was like, oh yeah, this Invisible Raptor's smart and has a weird sense of humor. But yeah, it didn't make it.
That's on the extras.
Yeah.
Tragic. That's tragic it didn't make it. I mean, he's too smart for its own good, That's how velociraptors evolved, as we know from Jurassic Park. Not in real life, but from movie velociraptors and all that jazz. So what was your sorry, what?
Oh no, I was laughing.
Okay.
I was chuckling.
No laughing, no fun. So what was your favorite scene to shoot? What was the hardest scene to shoot?
Ooh. I know the hardest scene to shoot was probably the stoner scene because it was so hot that day. I think it was in August in a metal shed, and a lot of the stuff wasn't sticking on the face, and I was just remember looking at everyone's face and everyone was sweating, and that was a tough one.
And that was on a 3 a.m. call too.
Yeah.
Well, it also was during the middle of the day. The scene looks like it's at night, but this was like peak midday August heat, a million degrees in that garage. People look like they wanted to just quit deep into our filming too. It was like, not that morale was low, but that didn't help.
Yeah, that was a tough one, but it's also was the most fun because we got to throw around our art crew inside that thing. So, um, as far
Yeah.
as favorite, what's yours, Johnny? What was your favorite scene to?
Oh man, I have a ton of favorite scenes. Sorry, my dog is now
Favorite to
barking.
shoot. Favorite to
Uh,
shoot.
yeah, my favorite scene in the whole movie is when Hannah gets sent away in the Uber. I think that's so funny, so unexpected. Every time I watch the movie, that's the one I want to see the most. I'm anticipating that scene every time because I think it's so unexpected, and people are just like howling at the movie at the screen. That's my favorite to rewatch again.
Yeah, my favorite scenes to shoot. I love shooting all the Dino World stuff just because the park was really cool. The dance number stuff was sort of challenging because it was the hottest day on record in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And so, but I always felt bad for the girl. It was a dancer, a professional dancer in the dinosaur suit. And I just remember every time we'd cut, we'd try to run her into this like cave thing in the park and get her in front of air conditioning. I sweat through about 3 Dr. Grant shirts doing that dance number. Um, but that was a lot of fun. And I think the other one was for me was interacting with the Invisible Raptor, either the fight on the stairs with the stunt team or like picking it up with the other actors and carrying nothing, which was just a lot of fun to do with other actors.
That's so fun. I have to say my favorite, it was more of a moment. It's when you have the Velociraptor poop and then she sniffs it. And
I
I
love
was
that
just like,
moment too.
I'm so
I looked at
glad you said that. I'm so
Yeah.
glad
I,
you said
That's a,
that because
yeah.
that is like I think that moment in the movie, you're still kind of unsure what the movie you're watching. You know, it's a
uh-huh.
comedy. It's so ridiculous that when people laugh at that, I'm like, all right, the people that are laughing at this know what they're getting. They know what they're getting. They're
Yeah,
bonding over the sniffing the turd. We're in for a wild ride.
yeah.
And I remember
It's
Johnny, you really liking that, them connecting over a turd. I remember you just really loving that moment. So I'm
I
happy
was
you said
losing my
that.
mind. I thought it was so funny.
This is so funny. That's pretty early on in the movie, and I was, I still didn't know what I was in for. So to see that, I was like, okay, you know what? I get it now. I get this is where we're going. This is the type of silliness where I'm like, I'm here for it. Let's go. Because it's still like, even in the first like 20, 25 minutes, you're still like, I don't know where this could go. This could just have a hard turn
Right.
to the dramatic. But
I'm
thank
so glad you said that. That is that's my favorite observation and from the movie from someone that we've talked to today. I love that you called that out because yes, it's so ridiculous and it's kind of like a subtle moment, but it just underscores the comedic ride you're about to go on is
you.
connecting over this turd.
It's funny. That's almost a marker in all the festivals we've been to when people really laugh at that. You know they're on board. Like they've figured it out. Like and that's kind of fun. You kind of get to hear. We don't watch the movie. We just watch the audience, and it's kind of fun to see those when they start connecting and really getting on the ride. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. I also have to say the actor who played Todd is actually one of my friends, Bill. Um,
yes.
Bill
Oh,
was actually on the podcast when it was called Horror at the Store.
Oh,
So
no way. Bill's the best.
Bill is great.
He had another scene that got cut. We had to cut one scene because it stopped the sort of third act from moving. But we love Bill. He's the best. Yeah. Yeah, he's so funny. Todd will probably come back. Todd will come back in the sequel, I'm sure. He'll-
yes, sequel wise, I don't sit through the credits when it's on because I usually watch it on my computer and then stream it to my TV. And I usually, as soon as the movie's over, but I had the credits rolling. You guys hid stuff in the credits, even at the very end of the credits. Thank you for doing that because I love that. I love that stuff. Like, so what was, the choice of doing that? And obviously that does mean there's a sequel. So what's next?
Yeah, what's the sequel gonna be?
Yeah.
Or yeah, can we
Yes.
give it a tee up? Like we can give it a tee up. I think, we started with the Invisible Raptor, just like Alien started as Alien. We're gonna go to the Invisible Raptors next. There's a sequence where some eggs are hatching on the old McCluskey farm. And I think that those little babies are going to wreak havoc like invisible gremlins throughout Spielberg County in the sequel. So, and hopefully it's Christmas time because that'd be fun. We've always wanted to make a Christmas movie.
You good Christmas film.
That would be awesome. You
And
get
then we'll end up at Isla Nublar. We'll end up on an adventure island movie and then we'll go to space. I think
as,
the logical progression.
Yeah.
as you
And
should.
then we'll do the Invisible Raptor versus the Velocipaster in the
Crossover.
ultimate jumping of the shark crossover that possible.
And Sharknado for some reason.
Yeah.
So there.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll have a tornado blow through and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we wouldn't sell out. We'll sell out.
This is the cinematic crossover, like Marvel stand
Oh
out.
yeah, we need that.
Yeah,
And it'll expand on our Invisible Raptor action figures, which are available on invisibleraptor.com.
That's
It's
pretty
just an
On
empty
with the hat.
package. Yeah, we have action figures just in case you want one.
That's amazing. I love it. And that's great branding, marketing. You're like, he's here with us.
Yeah, he's on that screen.
He's right there. Yeah, exactly. He's here in a way. Okay, so because I'm a horror podcast, I have to ask, what is your favorite horror movie? And then what was the first horror movie that scared you as a kid?
Good question. You guys want to hop on? You got one?
I would say that I wasn't even a kid, but I'll say the one that freaked me out the most in like not even recent memory, but The Ring. When I saw The Ring, I was like, oh shit, this is scary. The Ring really scared the shit out of me. Favorite horror movie?
Mostly because you had a bunch of videotapes that you were told you shouldn't watch.
Exactly. Yeah.
So The Ring, huh? That's
yeah,
The Ring. I don't know why that just pops into my head. That one was scary for me. The psychological scariness. There wasn't a slasher.
Man, mine was probably Friday the 13th, maybe. But Jaws scared me the most. I didn't get in water. Kind of like arachnophobia. I couldn't sit on a toilet seat for like 2 years after that one.
I think my favorite horror film, hands down, is The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing. I just think it's so brilliant. The practical effects and everything about that movie, characters and everything. And then the first one that scared the hell out of me was Nightmare on Elm Street. It scared me so bad that my mom somehow, some way met Robert Englund and got me to meet him so that I would not be terrified of him. But I met him in his trailer on the set of Nightmare on Elm Street 4, and he was dressed full Freddy. But he pulled his sweater down to show me where the makeup ended, and he let me wear the original Nightmare on Elm Street glove, his claws. He let me wear that, and I felt so much better after. I was traumatized by Freddy, traumatized, and that changed my life. I was able to go back to normal after meeting him. That was just, I don't know how that even happened, but got lucky.
I mean, that's the majority of people who I talk to. That's usually the film that they say. Jaws also, but The Ring I have not heard yet, so that's a new one. So,
well, I am a big baby, so
I mean, everybody has their one horror that, like, for some reason, it just freaks them out. Like,
I'm afraid of wells and I'm afraid of TVs and static and videotapes. So,
that's fair. Don't look behind me. Don't look at all at the VHS behind me. Don't even look. Fine. So because this is a dinosaur movie, one of my final questions for you is, what is your favorite dinosaur?
Who's taking this? Who's going first?
I'm going to switch up my answer and say the Triceratops. I've been saying the T-Rex, but I've changed my mind. Triceratops.
Nice.
I just love the T-Rex. They're just so majestic looking and awesome. Yeah. And that roar.
I'm going to say Velociraptor. I'm going to stay on brand. Yeah.
They're great.
Yeah.
What's your favorite dinosaur?
Well, it's a Stegosaurus.
Good.
Or a Dilophosaurus, which in the original Jurassic Park are the little tiny dinosaurs that, like,
Yes.
if I like dinosaurs. Is that obvious? I don't know. Hard with that. And finally, this is a silly question I ask everybody. Do you think audiences will be afraidy or not afraidy of the Invisible Raptor?
I think they're going to be Afraidy because they're going to laugh so hard that their buttholes might just fall right out of their bodies. That's happened. It's
Yeah.
science. It happens.
They might be afraid to sit on the toilet.
They might be afraid to sit on the toilet after. I agree. I think they're going to be a little Afraidy of what might happen if they laugh too hard.
Definitely Afraidy.
Amazing. And where are people able to watch the Invisible Raptor? I know you guys said it's still doing its festival circuit a little bit, but where do you guys have like an end date for when people can watch it?
December 6th, it's coming out to limited theaters. We have invisibleraPtor.com. It gives you the list of all the theaters. Hopefully they're playing in your city. And then also on, you can pre-order on Apple TV, which is big for us, for indie filmmakers, to get those pre-orders up. So if that's at all possible. And then just, on digital as well, December 6th.
Thank you guys so much for that great interview. Love them. Comment below your favorite dinosaur. But also, guys, go watch the Invisible Raptor, because it's so insane. It's ridiculous. They smell poop. You know what I'm talking about? Like, that's just... Anyways, there was a lot more to it. But, that was the scene that stuck out for me. That's all that matters. But you know what else matters? This podcast. Guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow Katie Hettenbach on all social media platforms. Make sure to follow us on YouTube, please. Let's try to get me to 1,000 subscribers before my birthday, December 27th. Let's make it happen, people. Let's make it happen. What else? We have a Patreon. When it's through the Patreon, you get advanced episodes before they release. That's kind of cool, right? That's kind of freaking cool. You know what else is kind of freaking cool? Our sponsor, Filmcraft Studio Gear. Where'd the accent come from? I don't know, but you know what I do know is that you can find them at Filmcraft LA on Instagram and filmcraftla.com. And also, shout out to Fangoria. We love you, Fango. Want a copy of Fango for the holidays? Holidays. Use code KatieFreddy25 for 25% off. And guys, you're a delight. Thanks for tuning in. Love ya. See you next time. Stay spooky.
How did you make raptors?
Did you see Jurassic Park?
Yes.
We did that.
But how did you make it invisible?
Did you see the Invisible Raptor?
Stop! Don't say anything. I hate spoilers.